The first question on the puzzle sheet is -1 1/4 add -2 1/2. What we're going to do first here is change these mixed fractions into improper fractions. So I'm going to ignore the negative, and if I have one whole is the same thing as 4/4. To get that quickly, I could take my denominator and multiply it by the whole number. So I'm taking the 4 and multiplying it by the 1. And that gives me 4. And then I have to add the pieces that I have along with that, which is 1. So 1 times 4 is the 4, plus 1 more will be 5, and then the denominator stays the same. So that's 5/4, but overall that was a negative value. So the first one ends up being -5/4. The second part to this is that we're adding a negative, so we could treat that as just like a subtract, so subtract, and then do the same thing with changing this to a improper fraction. So denominator is 2, and I multiply that by the whole number, so 2 times 2 is 4, so the 2 wholes would really be the same as 4 halves, plus 1 more half, altogether would be 5 halves. Now, that's the first step. The next step is to get the denominators to be the same. So I'm looking at a denominator of 4 and a denominator of 2. My lowest common denominator would be the 4. I'm going to multiply 2 by 2 to make it into a 4, but I'm going to have to also multiply the top by 2, and that will keep it an equivalent fraction, an equivalent ratio. We've got to keep it the same or keep it equal. So a 5 halves should be the same thing as 10 over 4, and I'm getting the 10 by multiplying the 5 with the 2, which is 10, and the 2 by 2 gives us the 4. So our next line, we're going to keep that first fraction the same, -5 over 4, take away, and then we're going to get 10 over 4. Now to add your fractions together or combine these, we're just going to do what we did with adding and subtracting integers. The only thing that needs to get added or subtracted are the top numbers, those numerators. So really what I have here is on the top I have a -5 and then take away 10. So I'm on the left 5 and then I go left 10 more. Altogether I'm to the left or down, if I'm thinking of thermometer, down 15. So that's going to be -15, and the denominator doesn't change. It's going to be over 4. -15 over 4. All right, so in my sum code puzzle, this was question S. It was the first one, and I'm going to look for an answer. Now, my answers are mixed fractions, so I need to convert that back. I'm just going to put the negative out front. I can ignore that. I know that 15, when I divide it by 4, it's going to be 3 point something. Okay, it's 3 point something, and in fact, if I do it on my calculator, it'll be 3.75. 3 times, it'll be 3 wholes, 3 whole numbers, which is 3 groups of 4 would be 12, but I need to get up to 15. And if I'm at 12 with the 3 wholes, I would need 3 more parts to make it equal to 15. So that should be -3 3/4. All right, so if I look up my answer for this question, I believe it matches with number 14 in the answer section. So then that means in above the number 14, down at the bottom of the puzzle, every time you see the number 14, you're going to write the letter S above that number 14. And then you keep going with that. I'm going to do one more example here. Let's do N, which is beside this one. So question N. It is 4 2/9, and then we're adding a -9 1/2. So if you want to try it, you can put the video on pause, try the question, and then you can press play and check your solution and see if we match. All right, checking your solution here. 4 times 9, that's equal to 36, plus 2 more would be 38. 38 over 9. 38 over 9, and then we're adding a negative, which will be subtract. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 more is 19. That's going to be 19 over 2. I need a common denominator. The lowest common denominator will be 18. I'm going to need to times this by 9 on top and bottom, times by 9, and that means I need to multiply this one by 2, top and bottom. All right, let's see how my mental math is going here. I'm not so sure it's good at this time of night. 2 groups of 38, that'd be 60, 76, I believe. I'm hoping I did that correctly in my head. And then 2 groups of 9 is 18. And then subtract, 9 groups of 19. That one's going to be tricky for me. That should be 9 times 9 is 81. Carry the 8, 171, I believe, if my brain does not fail me. Now let me double check. 38 times 2, I'm putting that in my calculator. Yep. And then 19 times 9, putting that in my calculator just to double check. Yep, we're good. All right, now we've got a 76 and we're taking away 177. I'm going to use my calculator for these, and you can too. I'm more concerned at this point that we're working with the fractions correctly as opposed to the adding and subtracting so much correctly. I mean, we still want to do that correctly, but if you need to use your calculator for that, then that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. All right, I got a negative 95 over 18. I'm going to take that 95 divided by 18. It goes in 5 times, so it'll be negative 5 with some left over. If I just do 5 times 18, I'm just going to check that. I'm writing some rough work so you can see what my calculator is doing here. I get 90, but I really want 95. That means there's 5 left over out of the 18. All right, so I'm taking that 90 that I got by doing the 5 wholes times 18, and then I'm doing 95, take away that 90 to see how many are left over to need on to have on the top. So the 95 comes from here. The 90 came from doing the 5 wholes times the 18. All right, so looking at that one, I believe the solution, I'm hoping, is there, negative 5 and 5/18. Oh, there it is. It has the number 5. All right, so above block number 5, you can put the letter N. All right, so hopefully you get an idea of that. I'd like you to try as many as you can, but I don't want you spending hours on your homework tonight. Try some of these, but as I said, don't spend like hours on homework. At most, maybe 45 minutes. That should be tops for homework time at home. All right, good luck with that, and we will see you tomorrow.